noble, at least amongst the noble elements of society. Later, shaving spread to the rest of the population, which had a rather understandable tendency to follow the customs of higher society. In fact, it became a mark or poor social status not to shave. So if you ain't shaved, you was basically a goddamn bum in ancient Egypt, just like here in America. Except when in mourning or about to depart on an expedition abroad. Okay? It says the earliest shaving implements appear to have been sharp stones. This is a triad of Menkure with Hathor holding his hand. You know, see right there. The earliest shaving implements appear to have been sharp stone blades, usually set in a wooden handle. In later periods, a lot fine copper razors, and from the Middle Kingdom onwards, bronze, trapezium-shaped razors were used. This evidently also produced some of the world's first members of the barber profession. So barbers, you know, that's back in ancient Egypt. You know, fucking niggas who visited the homes of the aristocracy but attended to common customers out of doors. We find a depiction of a barber in tomb scenes such as that of let's see if this is a picture that pop up. It says Tomb of Osiris. Oh, this looks like a barber right here. It's like that could be somebody doing something with somebody else's hair. You know. Matter of fact, I'm gonna press this real quick. Type in barber, see what pops up. See? It says in the tomb, right? This is it. It says another scene. Now this just happened. I didn't even mean to click on that. I wasn't even planning on going over that. I never clicked on that until just now. There's a little treat right here. It says another scene is apparently unique in Egyptian art. It depicts recruits at leisure and having their heads shaven. So people in the armies was what? Shaving their heads off. They do that in America. Modern day Egypt, man. Some crouch on the floor and others on three-legged stools. Below, right here, you know, two people even seem to compete for privilege of sitting on the folding stool while the barber works on his clients beneath a sycamore tree. So you got some people out here getting their hair cut, and you got these guys fighting over the damn stool, man. You know? On the right hand side of this wall shows a red-headed Usahat making offerings to the king Amenhotep II and a Khoist who was accompanied to his bodyguards. That's pretty good. You know? That's pretty good right there. Matter of fact, you read up a little bit more. It says, because you see this picture right here that we just looked at, this one right here. You see how it started off, and it said, another scene is apparently unique in Egyptian art, and it says recruits. I'll read up a little bit so you can understand it. The west side of the south wall shows soldiers being given provisions and other non-combat military scenes. Although Usahat was called scribe of recruits, it is obvious from the motifs depicted that this was where his duties lay. Officers appear seated in rows before plentiful supplies of food, wine, and beer, but the troops are lined up waiting for baskets of bread. A supervisor with a whip checks the rations as they are taken from the storehouse. The columns for inscriptions were left unfinished, so we do not know if any of these figures are meant to be Usahat himself. Y'all brother can look up Usahat, you know. But to look a little bit more, it tells you that this is the tomb of Usahat. See? The painted tomb of Usahat is well preserved, with unusual scenes of many subjects. See? The tomb of Usahat, see it says it right here? That's why when we went back, when we go back down to where we were just reading, it says we find a depiction of a barber in the tomb scene such as that of Usahat. So we just clicked on that and we went to the tomb of Usahat, right? On the west bank at Thebes, located in the tombs of the nobles where military recruits are receiving haircuts from ancient Egyptian literature. We showed you that. The scene in the tomb of Usahat depicts a barber attending to his clients who sit on the bench beneath the shade of a spreading sycamore fig. We showed them that, right? Through the spirit. While other men wait in a row, seating on folding chairs and tripods. You know? That's why you got barber shops all over every damn ghetto. They don't want Jake keeping the laws, statutes, and commandments to the Most High. Yet there remains a mystery associated with beards. Evident in art and religion, despite the apparent low esteem of facial hair during life, the beard was considered to be a divine attribute of the gods, whose closely plaited beards were like lapis lazuli. That's like a blue stone. That's like a blue stone. Matter of fact, see? Lapis lazuli. Lapis lazuli is a deep blue semi-precious stone that has been prized since antiquity for its intense color. No? Antiquity, see? Clicked on it, it says ancient history is the aggregate of past events. You see the pyramid right there. Let's go back to where we just was. It says, where were we? Alright. In accordance with this religious formula, the pharaoh would express his status as a living god by wearing a false beard secured by a cord on certain occasions. So this is really a false beard. It's not really a real beard. Such beards were usually wider toward the bottom. See how it's wider toward the bottom and up here? Such beards were usually wider toward the bottom, as in the triad statues of Menkora. So prevalent was this type of beard in formal portraiture that even Queen Hatshepsut, Queen Hatchetfoot, Queen Hatshepsut, that's the eldest caller, you know, that even Queen Hatshepsut is depicted wearing a false beard. This is her, bitch. Statue of Hatshepsut with her fake beard. In death, the kings were frequently portrayed wearing the divine ossured form of the beard, which was a long, narrow beard of several strands, plaited with the pigtail, with the end jutting forward. Plated with the end jutting forward, as on a gold mask of Tutankhamun. Even deceased royal men were shown with short, tuft-like beards. However, this is not a clear-cut indication, for the dead king was not always presented with this type of beard. Go down. It's not really much information. Such beards in ancient Egyptian art, regardless of their context, always appeared to represent divine nature, though certainly not all male gods wore such beards. Given the divine nature of beards, one question that begs answering is why they lost popularity early in Egyptian history. Certain types of beards resembling those of the gods and the false beard of the living king may have been prohibited, or simply not worn out of reverence. However, more likely, the reason is that ancient Egyptians obsessed with order, neatness, and hygiene. And we got some information on that, Lord willing, in the next show. Throughout ancient Egyptian history, the poorest of the poor appear to have been continued wearing beards, and it is even likely that some others wore them regularly. So the poorest of the poor, Israelites, they were slaves in Egypt, so they had to have beards, man. But you had to have Egyptians that were trying to make Jake shave. Because them laws, statutes, and commandments, there wasn't, before Moses, there was oral laws. You know? There was oral laws before Moses. Why do you think it said Joseph shaved himself when he got out? Because he's keeping that law. Alright, it says, throughout ancient Egyptian history, the poorest of the poor appear to have continued wearing beards, and it is even likely that some others wore them regularly. So there was apparently legal restrictions against all beards. See that? Legal restrictions against all beards. So they're going around making people shave, man. Left, they could have had to have no laws set up and all that, saying telling people to shave. Left, Osiris with Horemheb. Right, Amun-Min. Also, and very interestingly, outside of all religious contexts, beards with Egyptian art usually indicate the foreign nature of an individual. The enemies of ancient Egypt are frequently depicted with beards. So if you see a wall in Egypt with somebody with beard, that's the enemies, man. Israel. Given the ancient Egyptian disdain for foreigners, this may explain some of the popularity of shaving, as well as the reason why officials sometimes did not shave when traveling abroad. So you could have had their enemies, certain nations that, because all them different nations was shaved. Some of them may have had beards, but then at a point, many of them shaved. Like when you look at certain sculptures and artifacts of Assyrians and so forth, Babylonians and things of that nature. Some of them you'll see having beard, but for the most part, but they all actually shave. And there's a lot of information on that. I just didn't bring it out in this show because that took a lot of time. You know. So given the ancient Egyptian disdain disdain for foreigners, this may explain some of the popularity of shaving, as well as the reason why officials sometimes did not